So most likely you're here because you have recently looked into getting into a career selling insurance, and you're probably a little bit skeptical. Perhaps you've seen some content or been to an opportunity meeting where there's more talk about fast cars, exotic vacations, fat stacks of cash versus actually a career opportunity, and you're thinking, is this insurance career all it's cracked up to be? My goal in this video today is to give you the truth behind a career selling insurance, so stick around. Howdy out there, it's David Duford, owner of DeFord Insurance Group, where I train and recruit agents nationally to sell things like final expense, Medicare, both face-to-face and over the phone. Thank you so much for watching. So again, what is the insurance sales business all about? Is it really what it's cracked up to be? Is there something going on that kind of is tingling the spider senses you might have and maybe give you a little doubt that the insurance business is really what it's made out to be? Well, my answer to you is yes. You see, here's the problem with how the insurance business is actually presented to you. They tell you about all of the great opportunities and things and stuff you can buy, the materialism. But what you'll find is there is very little substance to the vapidity of what you're actually being shown. There's a lot of talk about, the materialism side of the business, but very little actually structurally telling you how to sell or teaching you how to become a top producer. Whereas there seemingly is more interest in having you recruit your friends and family to also recruit your friends and family without much attention paid to how to become a top producer. Why is this the case? Because the biggest problem in the insurance business is that there's a huge multi-level marketing influence. Many of the top organizations right now that you've seen out there that are heavily recruiting on ZipRecruiter, heavily recruiting on Craigslist, and heavily recruiting just all over the place, all have their beginnings in some sort of multi-level marketing strategy or organization. They know how to sell the dream. And while one hand does the magic, the other is doing the sleight of hand, reducing your commissions well below the industry average, increasing lead prices beyond what's acceptable, giving you low quality leads that really don't formulate into anything, and certainly not providing the training that's necessary to become top producers. And the outcome of all of these problems, bottom line, is that most insurance agents fail. While you're told that this business is literally raining with money, it just isn't the case for a lot. People struggle, get frustrated, end up quitting because they don't know who to turn to, they don't know where to go to be successful, and they end up thinking this business is a racket simply because of the experience they had. So the truth of selling insurance, guys, is that most people fail. It is a roller coaster of emotions and frustrations and experiences, with the vast majority, more than 90%, quitting or failing out of the business in the first year, if not sooner. And the thing is guys, even though that there's all these problems with bad organizations out there that want you to focus on recruiting instead of having you focus on selling, there are good organizations out there, seemingly after you do your due diligence, that will actually train you how to sell so that you can become a top producer and get the most out of this business. So it's vitally important that you avoid these major landmines that I talked about earlier and do your due diligence to find a great organization so you don't end up like a statistic like most people do who get into insurance sales and then fail out. So let's talk about how to overcome the odds of failure and how to become a successful agent, to be in the top 10% who are from year to year doing great, making great money, having great lifestyles with it too. What can you do to avoid failure, and what can you do to be successful? Let's talk about it. So first of all, make sure you're focusing on selling and not recruiting. I don't care what agency is telling you what. Recruiting is not for new people. I'm sorry. You will be the most important person in the hierarchy of you recruiting people. You, as a recruiter, are responsible for supporting, training, and coaching those agents. And I don't care what your MLM Kool-Aid drinking organization says. If you're brand new, you don't know anything. You're ignorant. And I don't mean that in a negative sense. Ignorance, by definition, means you just don't know. It doesn't mean you're stupid. But you're not ready to be in a position to go out there and help people because you haven't developed the knowledge, the experience, the street cred to actually help people that you bring on. And when you get into an organization that promotes recruiting equivalently or more important than selling, then there is a literal race to the bottom that's created. Non-experienced people recruit non-experienced people who also not recruit non-experienced people. And when nobody knows anything about anything, well, how can you be successful? Sure, watch some videos and stuff, but that doesn't work for the vast majority of people. A lot of new agents need support. They need mentorship. They need hands-on coaching and help. And if you can't get that because you don't know how to provide it as an agency owner, then how do you think you're going to keep the good agents on? They're just going to go somewhere else where the agencies realize that training and coaching is everything. So instead of focusing on recruiting, focus on becoming a top producer yourself. The outcome is that you're going to develop a knowledge of the business. You're going to develop an understanding of it. You're going to be able to explain it coherently to your recruits if you end up doing that. And more importantly than anything, you're going to be in control of your income because you've developed a skill that's always going to be in demand, and that is helping people out with insurance. So don't discount the importance of selling. It is way more important than recruiting. Recruiting comes later after you've developed your ability to successfully sell on a consistent basis. So next thing here is always make sure that you do your due diligence. This is so critical. The big problem with most of the people who get into this business is they don't see my YouTube videos. And I don't mean that to pat myself on the back or inflate my own ego. It's just that people generally trust whom they talk to. And so when someone is brought in from a referral who is probably the person who's going to recruit you, you just more are comfortable recruiting or trusting that person who is recruiting you. So you don't ask the tough questions like you will who are watching these videos. If you're watching this video, most likely you're concerned about making the right decisions. You may have a feeling that the organizations you've looked like just don't set well with you. And you're unique in that sense. So you're in a really important position to make sure before you jump in to do your research, do your due diligence. What do you want to accomplish? What business model makes sense for you? Do you want to be a captive agent? Do you want to be an independent agent? Do you want to specialize in final expense, Medicare, mortgage protection? These are a lot of questions that right now in the very beginning are vital for you to ask and make sure you give your absolute best effort for, because the worst thing possible to do, in my opinion, is for a brand new agent to jump in with little to no understanding of the business, not questioning a thing, just to find out 6 months, 12 months later, after they're doing well, that they're handcuffed to that agency, that their commission levels are so deplorably low, and that they can't leave and go solo as easily as they could have had they started off right, because they're in a position where it just is harder. It's the worst thing possible, not to mention all the people who fail because they don't know the other side of the business where independent agents have access to better commissions, better carriers, better lead systems, and overall a better experience. Last thing here on the list is make sure you understand that ultimately insurance sales, no matter what you're selling, is a numbers game. You can't escape the fact that if you want to be successful selling insurance and you want to see the most out of this business, this is a see the people business, you got to have a lot of leads, a lot of prospects, you got to run a lot of presentations, and if you do enough activity, then you're likely to sell enough policies and make enough money to make this business a lucrative enterprise. One of the biggest reasons why agents fail is they just don't simply see enough prospects. They don't do enough activity. They don't buy enough leads. They don't do enough prospecting. So don't fall into that trap. Avoid that. And this is how you're going to have, in many ways, a successful insurance sales career without necessarily being like the next Tony Robbins, the master of salesmanship. Okay, I hope this gives you a little insight on the truth of selling insurance and what the career of insurance sales really poses. Make sure that you take my 3 pointers really into deep consideration. This business is deceptive. How you're brought into it is very different from how your actual interaction is. And you want to make sure you follow all those steps, making sure you do your due diligence, making sure that you pick the right product, and making sure that you focus on selling instead of recruiting to just give yourself the best chances of success. If you want to learn more about how my agency works, DeFord Insurance Group, click the links above and below. It'll take you to an overview page of how my business works to see if you're a good fit for it. If you have any comments or suggestions, or you like this video, do like it and leave the comments and suggestions below. And we'll see you next time. I appreciate you watching.